Welcome everyone to week 3 of our course, and there's one more week remaining until your first professional portfolio is due. Now, there have been many questions regarding the portfolio, which is good because it tells me that you're giving this assignment some significant time and attention. But let me review some of the expectations again. But before I do, I want to remind you that there are resources that have been posted in Moodle to give you additional guidance and understanding in developing your portfolio. So be sure you take a look at those. First, some have requested that I post an example of a good portfolio. Now, I don't provide examples typically because in the years of doing this, students overwhelmingly simply copy the example. Now, I want you to work through this and demonstrate in your own way how you are developing as a professional and how you are meeting the standards in your profession. Read the guidelines posted in the syllabus once again if you haven't done so already. Also, take a look at the PDF document titled More on Portfolios, as this gives you some guidance into each section as well as the formatting. Look over the Professional Portfolio Assessment rubric and view the Formatting Your Documents video that's posted in Moodle also. And keep in mind the differences between standards and domains. I've had some questions on this, so let me try to clarify this a little bit. When I mention standards, this is completely different for teachers than it is for coaches and strength and conditioning individuals. Teachers will focus on the broad or overarching national standard. And although you must mention the grade level outcomes, there are specific grade level outcomes within each standard, your focus is on the overall standard itself. For coaches, you are focusing on the actual domain as a whole. Now, when I'm addressing the coaches, sometimes I'll use the term standard in a broad sense to kind of cover everything. But coaches, your focus is actually on the domain, so try not to get the vocabulary confused. Only address the broad domain rather than each individual standard. And for those in strength and conditioning, you have your overall standard and then you have the sub-standards. And you'll have standard number 1, for example, and then substandard 1.1. So focus on the overall broad standard rather than the substandard. And keep in mind that your portfolio should include all the necessary sections, and each section should have an appropriate section title or heading and begin on a new page. So you'll have your title page and you'll have your table of contents. You'll also have your introduction. For your introduction, remember that this is only for your first portfolio. It introduces you to the reader and provides some background information about you. It includes your education, your experiences, and includes any accomplishments or other personal information you like to share. Help the reader to understand who you are and what you do within your introduction. Then you have your executive summary. Your professional standards executive summary is just that, a summary of the standard or domain in your own words. So write or quote the actual standard, cite it correctly in text as well as on a reference page, and just provide a brief 1 to 2 paragraph summary of the standard. Here, what you're basically doing is explaining it in layman's terms, as if you were explaining it to someone who has no idea as to what the standard or domain is actually talking about. You will not go into detail here as to how you're going to meet the standard or what your plans are to address the standard. Keep your focus brief and keep it on the actual standard or domain. Then you'll have your artifact reflection section. And this should demonstrate how you are meeting the standard or domain. And also keep in mind that your artifact should be some form of example or item that provides evidence that you're actually addressing or meeting the standard in your profession. And in this section, you should articulately, comprehensively, and thoroughly, with some detail, explain how you use the artifact to demonstrate your understanding or to demonstrate that you are meeting the standard or domain. And your artifact should be placed in an appendix, and you will refer to that appendix within your reflection section. Personal and professional reflection area. Here, it will provide a discussion on how you have matured, how you have grown, how you've improved in your professional knowledge and responsibilities, all related to the area covered within the standard or domain. Additionally, it should reflect on your strengths, so discuss what your strengths are and explain how you plan to continue to maintain and further develop those strengths throughout your profession as you continue to grow, mature, and learn more things. In this section, you will also include your courage and calling reflection for chapters 2 and 3. Then you'll have your reference page. At the least, you should reference the national standards you're addressing, as well as the courage and calling book. If you've cited any other pieces of work throughout your document, be sure you cite those properly in text and list them in the reference page as well. Remember to cite all references correctly because this can cost you some points. Lastly, include your appendices or appendix for your artifact. While only one artifact is actually necessary for each standard, if you like to include additional documents, they can also be included in your appendices. And these should be appropriately labeled. If you have one artifact, simply label it Appendix A. If you have two, the second should be labeled Appendix B, and so on. Remember to adhere to all formatting guidelines. Also, be sure you double check everything and proofread multiple times. And once again, if you know you are not a very great writer, have someone else proofread your document for you before you submit it. As usual, contact me if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'll see you online.